Hi, music lovers, one and all, near and far. You're tuned into Bloomfield Community TV on Comcast and ATT, and you're also seeing me on Bloomfield Community YouTube. So, welcome. And this is where, well, first of all, my name is Kat Orlando, and this is where I get together with musicians and entertainers to talk about the business, touring, instruments, singing, and more. And right now, I'm broadcasting remotely away from BCTV studio. I'm actually in Cape Coral, Florida. So Larry, my husband, and I have been performing in the area, Southwest Florida, to great crowds. But being from Detroit gives me special pride. So there's an abundance of talent and music history, not only in Florida, but where I'm from, Detroit. So I like to give my Detroit performers a chance to shine and give you, the audience, an insight into the behind the scenes of music. So let me tell you a little bit about my next artist here. He's the leader of the group Slight Return, and I first heard of them through Motown guitarist friend Dennis Coffey. And also, another connection is that my former bass player William Pope performs with them as well. So I saw them perform, and I was so impressed by their funky sound that also happens to sort of tap into Hendrix, to me anyway, Hendrix, Lenny Kravitz, Red Hot Chili Peppers vibe. So would you please welcome band leader Mark Kassa? Welcome, Mark.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining. Yeah, I see your schedules is quite impressive. You guys stay super busy.
I just try and do what we do.
That's right. Yeah. So the band is called Slight Return,
Yeah.
and from what I saw, you're very heavy on the Jimi Hendrix influence, hence the reference to a Hendrix song, Slight Return. Is that right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Okay.
definitely Hendrix to Voodoo Child Slight Return, or
Uh,
reference to that. And my
uh-huh.
license plate is J Hendrix, so that kind of gives it away too.
Yeah, definitely. Have
But
that.
but I mean, I think we're the kind of band you can hear a lot of our influences, but we
Mhm.
have our own sound, but you can kind of hear all the influences mishmashed into what we do.
Right. And so you also write your own songs as well, right? Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh yeah, I we've got over a dozen albums out. We've been
Mhm.
the last 8 years, we've had 30 songs on the first round Grammy Awards ballot. We haven't got a nomination yet, but we've been on the ballot
Wow.
and had two songs on the Latin Grammy ballot. Um, Man, just been writing. I really love writing and producing and recording, and of course, playing guitar. My first love with music is playing guitar, but
Yeah,
yeah, like
quite a
like
bit of
being involved with everything.
quite a lot of recognition. Good for you. It's great. How did Slight Return band form, and how did you all meet?
Well, I actually started the band in 1995.
Oh, okay. Uh-huh.
And quite a while ago, it was originally a three pieces. Me and my best friend from second grade to all the way through high school and college, Alberto Roselle and Mark Dabrowski on bass.
Oh,
And it started as a three piece, a lot of jamming, old school style.
yeah.
And we had taken a song from Cypress Hill called Make a Move, which didn't have any guitar on it or anything like that. And we just
Uh-huh.
had some fun and kind of turned it into a Rage Against the Machine style rock song,
Okay.
and got attention from three major record labels, and were offered
Wow.
several deals. And but my kids were very young at the time, and I said,
Mhm.
under no circumstance am I leaving. These are the most important years, and I'm not going anywhere.
Oh, to
um,
tour. Uh-huh.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I didn't want to go on the tour. And then we were back in the studio recording album number 3, and Alberto was getting just a cough, and we thought maybe he had pneumonia. He went to the hospital. He had fourth stage cancer.
Oh, no.
Yeah, passed away soon after. And
Oh, geez.
so I quit playing for about a year. And then after a year, I decided to put everything back together again.
Mhm.
And kind of, I ended up meeting Ronnie and Tony Mitchell. And we've had a couple other bass players that were friends of mine in between. And William Pope and I have known each other for probably a good 30 years, but he was always playing with different bands.
Like
And
me.
yeah, exactly. Like you and Dave Hamilton, and
Steal, I'm stealing whatever I could, but no more.
so I just told Will, I said, listen, whenever whenever you're ready to join Slight Return,
Yeah.
we're ready to have you. You can do all those other gigs you want to do, but just, because we don't do a ton of gigs, but we try and make them decent when we have them. And they said,
Yeah.
just keep it open on your schedule. And of course it's been, great. Just, he's such a great asset to the band as a person and as a player.
People are still asking me, "Where's Pope? Where's Pope?" I was like, "Well, he ran away with slight return, But good for you guys, So now you guys show our itinerary. I've been looking over, your past itinerary, and it's really impressive because you guys opened for a lot of legendary bands like Huey Lewis and Robin Trower and Creedence and P-Funk, and any of those shows particularly out to you, or there's so
Yeah.
much, right?
Oh, they're all so different from each other, but I'd say some of the funnest times. One of the funnest gigs was last year at the Salute Our Warriors, where I'm on the board of this event, and we raise money for the Fallen and Wounded Soldiers Fund, where 97% of every dollar goes right to them and their families.
Nice.
And Ted Nugent joined us on stage last year, and Derek St. Holmes, and we had Peter Keys from Leonard Skinner, and
Wow.
and we just had a blast all jamming together, and it looks like it's going to happen again. That was a really nice show, and we've also played a lot of shows with Robin Trower. That was really cool. We had like 8 shows with Robin. He's a legend.
Oh, wow. Oh, I love Robin Trower. Yeah. Bridge of Sighs, I think I wore that. I'll say it, 8-track. I wore it out.
Oh yeah, yeah. And that 1975 live album from Sweden was that's one of the most iconic albums, I think, is for guitar players, like right behind like Band of Gypsies from Hendrix.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Incredible stuff. Well, that's so cool. You got to play with, share the stage with them. And then I even saw you even got some nods from the people in those bands and associated with those bands. And any people from those tours, stand out as well, or anybody that you met along the way? And
yeah, I mean, I think the funnest guy to record with was George Clinton. I mean, he was he was such a character. And then once we got into the studio to record together, he just went into total producer mode. It was funny. And he just, he's a good producer. He gets in there and starts talking and getting people to do things, and boom, next thing you know, you got a great recording.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, that's so cool. Well, I worked with Piranha. I don't know if you know Maurice. Yeah.
Yeah, we recorded with him. Recorded an album with him.
Oh, that's right. You did over at What am I thinking? Right. And well, that's how I met Pope, was through Maurice. And so I know he's got some stories about working at United Sound with George Clinton, or associated with those recordings. Well, anyway, I know, let me get back to what I was going to say. I know that you so when you worked, say, when you did work with Piranha and Pope, I know when I worked with them recording, we would get together and sort of with the core band and jam out the songs before the session or at the studio. What's your approach to with your songs, for instance?
Well, usually they just start out as a really rough idea that I record at really bad quality on my cell phone. and then at rehearsal, we'll kind of work everything out, and then we'll rehearse to tighten everything up. And then when we go in the studio, we're ready to go, because we record everything live off the floor. We don't really layer.
Right. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So I like to keep that live feel. But yeah, usually it's funny because people always ask me, why don't you have a studio in your house and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, look, man, that's a whole nother skill. Recording and engineering is a whole nother craft. And I don't want to leave it to the pros to do that. I'll write the music and let them record,
Right. I'm the same approach. I put it all on my garage band, my feeble attempts at chords and things like that, and hand it to somebody, and then hand it to the producer at the studio. Exactly. Yeah. But you're talking about the live approach is really the way to do it anyway. I've done other stuff where you're layering, you're saving a couple bucks here and there, but there's nothing like the live,
Yeah, I mean, and we've recorded a lot of our stuff on reel to reel, so you have to be well rehearsed, because cutting tape is completely different. Like punching on tape and stuff is very hard to do. And at least half our albums have been on reel to reel.
So that you were doing analog really that way.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We've been recording analog for a long time. We do a few albums on digital, a lot on analog. We, depends on the project, what kind of sound that I want. And I go to different studios. Like we record with recorded in Seattle with Jack and Dino, who recorded like Nirvana and Soundgarden and Mudhoney, and we've recorded at in Detroit at Ghetto Recorders with Jim Diamond, who recorded the White Stripes' first 2 albums, and we recorded with so many different places depending on the vibe I want in the studio. And when I recorded with George, I took him to United Sound because all the Parliament Funkadelic stuff was recorded there, and I wanted him to be in a comfortable environment he was already used to.
Oh, right.
So everything kind of, you get a different vibe in every studio. So it's fun checking out different studios.
Oh, absolutely. Well, United Sound is, like you say, is legendary in itself, for sure. But that must have been cool to, like you say, jump around to these different environments, So I've been checking out some of your new songs and video, and I just want to throw out a compliment because we don't always get Pope hearing Pope sing, so he sounds like Lenny Kravitz, and it's really a good job on that one song,
Well, I'll tell you a story behind that. Is we were rehearsing, and William Pope started singing some stuff and just messing around. He'd always just kind of joke around. I said, you know what? I got a song I wrote that I want you to sing. And he's like, well, I've never sang before. I said, well, you're about to now.
Yeah, there you go.
I forced him into it, and he did a phenomenal job. The song's like a cross between Shake, Move, Groove. It's like a cross between like Sly and the Family Stone meets Lenny Kravitz,
Everybody, get on the floor. Let the music move your soul. Do your dance, do your dance, do your dance. Don't stop, do some more. Come on and dance. Yeah, we're gonna move. Come on now, we're gonna
Exactly. And now the previous segment that I just did, that I recorded yesterday, I put that video on there. And,
nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But this one, we're going to put some other ones on at the end of this show, ladies and gentlemen. It will be at the end of the show. And so, yeah, really good stuff. So Slight Return is you, Pope. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe this is a different lineup. Christian Vey,
Correct.
Tony Mitchell, Ron Carmo.
That's it.
But then sometimes you work with Andy Vargas of Santana.
Yeah. Me and Andy and Dennis Chambers cut a full album together called Vicious Tides.
Okay.
And really, I mean, one of my favorite albums that we've done. I always like working with different guest artists. Every album, I kind of like to pull somebody in and say, hey, let's do a couple of tracks together. But with Andy, he and Dennis came into town, and we went to United Sound, and we were recording. We actually only intended to cut a 3-song deal, and then we had an extra hour of session time that I had already paid for, and so I just told the studio engineer, just roll the tape, and then we ended up just jamming for like another hour, thinking it was just going to be something for the archive. When we got back the next day, we're like, hey, this sounds pretty good, so we ended up releasing a full album off of it.
Oh, wow. You got several songs out of that, or?
Oh yeah, we got a whole album's worth of songs. I think the title track of that album though is really solid. I ended up releasing it through Universal Music Group. It's called Vicious Tides.
Okay.
So released that and Warrior Soul through Universal, and but yeah, that's one of my favorite albums that we've done. Nice.
And so Andy Vargas, and then Dennis Chambers. He used to play with John McLaughlin and Maceo and Steely Dan. Is that?
Dennis is like one of the top studio pros of all time. I mean, even back in the day, he played on some live shows with the Jackson 5. Yeah, Steely Dan, and every huge fusion artist you've ever heard of. He's like a first call guy that everybody, drummers really love. Dennis. Now he's a phenomenal drummer. He's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
But he's a guy that he's the real deal. And this year we got another legend, Bernard Purdy, coming in. I think
what?
This is Bernard Purdy's playing with us at the Buddy Miles show.
Wow.
And so
it's
the first time ever that Bernard and Dennis will be playing a concert together.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. I met Bernard Purdy at a music seminar in Detroit years ago, and Ralph Armstrong was on that show, and Liberty DeVito, who's Billy Joel's drummer, if I got that right. But anyway, they called a bunch of people up there to sit in, and Yeah, Bernard Purdy, he was really cool. I mean, he's nice to everybody, getting people up on stage.
Yeah, I mean, nothing's more famous than the Purdy Shuffle.
Yeah,
That's like
right. And
one of the most famous grooves in history.
he broke that down, like he does in
Uh-huh.
the videos. Like, this is how you do it, and he was a really interesting character. He's got some crazy stories I saw.
Oh,
On
I'm
Facebook.
sure. Yeah, but especially the stuff with the Beatles and all that stuff. Yeah, like some of
Right,
those
right,
things.
right.
Yeah.
So, kind of crossing the same territory. And in all your travels, and are there any shows or stories that particularly stand out to you?
Uh,
You guys travel.
Not, I don't know. We just kind of like, it's funny because we just have so much fun as a band wherever we go to whatever show. We had
Yeah.
some fun playing with Trower and Robin Trower at Newport Music Hall in Columbus and at
Hmm.
the Orbit Room. And every show was a little bit different, but they were all a lot of fun. And, sometimes there's a lot of Spinal Tap moments too.
Yeah, right. Right.
So that's what makes it more, we just laugh about stuff and, laugh about it and move on and just
Yeah.
enjoy that time we get on stage and do our thing, get out there and do your thing.
Yeah. You mean like the stuff, something breaking like 2 minutes before a show or something? We have
Well,
those.
well, even more than that, like we get to Newport Music Hall and they're like, your dressing room is, on the second floor. So we go on the second floor, we walk in, it's like, it's a boiler room with a broken Pepsi cooler. It's like 100 degrees and like this giant fan blowing and like a chain fence. And we're like, wait, this is the dressing room? Like, yeah, it's a dressing room. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay,
Right, right. Or it's like 2 miles away, like, oh, it's way down there, or load your equipment in 2 miles away and fun stuff. But yeah, like you say, I'm sure then you get out in front of a crowd and then like, it's all good after
Oh,
that.
it just motivates us to play harder. I mean, when like when the main act sets up all the way to the edge of the stage just to mess with the opener,
Yeah.
we just kind of kick their equipment back a little bit, give us a little space, but then it just motivates us to play harder when we get out there. Like, okay, we're going to challenge you,
Well, that's a good point you brought up. I always find that the sound people don't, give you the fullest sound that they do the headliner. Do you
Yeah.
ever feel like that, or that
Oh
they're?
yeah, except one time it backfired on the headliner because we were playing with a national act. I'm not going to say their name, but we were
Yeah.
playing with them, and
Yeah.
they didn't know that a friend of mine was the sound man at the venue.
Oh, okay.
So
Wow,
he turned us up and just made us. I mean, he cranked the guitar up and everything, and
Yeah.
the crowd was really, really into it. And
They're
those
like,
guys weren't too happy, that we were getting the same sound they were getting.
yeah, so yeah, and then it's really bad if you blow them away, before their next show. It's like,
Yeah, they came out of it was funny because they came out of the dressing room a couple times to see what was going on. But I'm just like, hey, we're just doing our job. Our job is to
Right.
challenge you guys, get the most out of you when you get on stage.
Yeah, and you're warming them up for them, you
Yeah.
warm the crowd up for them. So you are doing your job. So then now let me see if I got this right too. So being a member of the Recording Association,
Oh, the Recording Academy. Yeah.
there you go. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then you get to vote, and I know you talked about this before in your other interviews.
Mhm.
That you get to vote for Grammy, to vote for the winners.
Yeah, I can vote and nominate for the Grammy
Potential.
Award. I can get people on the ballot, and we vote on it too. So
So how does an artist like yourself get in? Do you have to just be a member of the Recording Academy to be able to do that, or do you have to go through other steps to do that?
no, like when I was applying for the Academy, it was more based on you had to have X amount of albums out for sale, and they have to be recorded within the last, like, let's say, I think it was like previous 3 years. You have to be working with somebody current in the music industry. You have to have your name on the credits of the recordings that are released as whether it's producer, writer, musician. Yeah, there's a lot of criteria. And honestly, I didn't really, I wasn't expecting to get in. I was expecting to get in as a professional member, and then they put me in as a voting member because I had, every year I'm basically almost every year releasing an album, working with different artists, and been doing it a long time. And so, I mean, I got in 8 years ago and still doing it till now.
Nice. That's really admirable, to be in that position that you are, to do that. So let's talk about the show coming up. It's a Buddy Miles tribute, and I love. I was always a huge fan of Buddy Miles. To me, very underrated. As a
Yeah.
performer, drummer, and singer. So, what led you to want to do a Buddy Miles tribute? Very great choice, but
Well, it's funny. We had done a show with Billy Cox from the Band of Gypsies.
oh, okay.
And so he had his right-hand man come into town, Boo O'Connor,
Mm-hmm.
and we started playing our set and we played them changes. And he was like, "You guys are Buddy fans?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, we love Buddy Miles." I mean,
Yeah.
and it started going from there. And then I learned a lot more through him of, about, how much, besides how much Buddy had done, just, learn more about Buddy Miles in general. And they had mentioned that a few people had tried to put on a tribute to him in the past and had been unsuccessful. I said, well, I mean, I can handle that. And so I started putting it together. Me and, Boo started working on it. And between the people that he knew he had contacts to directly and I had contacts to directly, the first one, obviously you have to convince people, like, what is it? And
Yeah.
what are we going to do? Do people know Buddy's music? Well, they don't realize, Buddy toured with, obviously with Hendrix, with Santana. He was the voice of the
Right.
California Raisins. I mean, he had a huge solo career of his own.
Yeah.
And
Electric Flag too, right? Not a people.
Exactly.
People don't remember Electric Flag, but there's some songs off of that album. I'm like, holy cow.
Oh yeah, with Mike Bloomfield on guitar. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so all these albums, he had, I don't know, 12, 13, 14 albums that he released. All this music, he was a huge act, but he got shunned in the music industry because he stood up to the industry moguls.
Oh.
And that was the biggest thing. So we wanted to shed light on the incredible career, of Buddy Miles. And I tell you what, even as a guitar player, if you look at the clips of him and Santana on stage together when Buddy was on vocals and guitar, Buddy could tear it up on the guitar. So world-class drummer, vocalist, guitar player, and then plus on top of it, oh yeah,
Oh, I
killer
didn't know that.
guitarist.
Wow. Huh.
Mhm.
I love his vocals,
Oh yeah.
killer vocals too. So let's take a little detour back to you and your Hendrix influence. I mean, to me, very sound like you're influenced by Hendrix. Any other guitarists that you listen to starting out, for instance?
Oh yeah. Stevie Ray Vaughan is really what got me to play guitar. I saw him at Meadowbrook and just blew me away, and that got me into playing. I was lucky enough to see him like 8 more times.
Oh wow.
Santana, I'd say guys like Scott Henderson, Tom Morello, even one bass player influenced me, Les Claypool, because it was such a unique style from Primus.
Oh, okay.
Alan Holdsworth, Eddie Van Halen. I mean, there's a whole slew of guitar. Oh, and Nile Rodgers, that real funky sound from the 70s. In fact, I used to always play in the Funk Pros.
Now Rodgers, bass player, right?
Nile Rodgers, guitar player from Chic.
How come I'm thinking he's a bass player? Okay.
Yeah, now was the guitar player in Chic and
okay, with Chic, right? Okay.
And the old funky. And I used to always play in the Funk Pro series when I was at music school in Hollywood.
Okay.
And just like a slew of those guitar players. The main ones were the first ones I mentioned, but all those guys definitely influenced me in different ways.
Oh, okay. All right. So the show coming up is talk about the show coming up, the Buddy Miles tribute.
Sure.
When it's going to be?
So it's going to be this Saturday, March 1st, at the beautiful Michael Guido Theater in Dearborn.
All right.
And slight return, we're going to be the opening band at 7 o'clock, and then we stay on stage at 8 o'clock, and everybody joins us. We're like the house band. We kind of hold everything down.
Okay.
We got like 17 guys on stage, 4-piece horn section. Peter Keys from Leonard Skinner, Henry Brown, who's the lead vocalist from The Experience, Hendrix tour, and Jimi Hendrix's cousin, Juma Sultan and Jerry Velez, who played with Hendrix and Buddy Miles, and they played at Woodstock. We've got Jim McCarty from here, who was the guitar player in the Buddy Miles Express.
Yeah.
Kenny Olson, who played in Band of Gypsies Returns of Buddy Miles.
Kenny Olson. Yep.
Yep. Lance Lopez, who played with Buddy. We've got Derek St. Holmes from Ted Nugent's band. We've got just a great group of people coming in. I mean, it's a heck of a show and a lot to put together as the music director, but it works.
Yeah. Well, that sounds fantastic. And everybody watching and listening, we're going to put show the graphic of all that info just so everybody can go see the show. And one more thing too, where people can find info on you and Slight Return on your website or Facebook or.
Yeah, just go to slightreturn.com and you can pretty
Mhm.
much connect to everything else we have right through there.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, this is great. We got a chance to talk like this, Mark, and I think we're going to show some videos at the end of this segment as well, and have a great time at your show. And once again, thanks for coming on.
No, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And hey, hopefully we'll see you at the show. Oh no, you're going to be in Florida. I was going to say,
Yeah.
hopefully we'll see you at the show, but
Cannot make it, but when I'm back, I'll definitely be finding you guys to see the show again. Last time I saw you was at Sweetwater. Yeah.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. It was a while ago. Yeah, that was when
Yeah, that
Pope
was a
first
little
joined the
while.
band. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll be finding you guys at a live show for sure, so.
And we do have a Blu-ray coming out from the Buddy Miles show last year, 54 tracks. They're all mixed down, and we got a
Oh, okay.
4-camera Pro Shot Blu-ray coming out.
Wow.
Yep.
That's going to be fantastic. So.
Thank you.
All right. Well,
All right.
So we'll talk soon, Mark, and everybody in Bloomfield Community TV land. Stay around for some of these videos, the video coming up, and we'll see y'all next time on CHOPZ.